Hey, welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to buy land from a private seller. You know, most sellers are private. Not all sellers have a real estate agent, so you want to be aware and know the steps to take. All right, I got several things to break down for you in this video. I'm gonna show you how to buy land from a private seller in 7 easy steps. Now I want you to stick around to the very end because I'm not gonna give just one free gift, but I'm giving you 2 free gifts today. All right, how do we find these private land sellers? You know, let's talk about for sale by owner. You know, how to find that. Whether you're driving around for land or you're sitting on your computer looking at Craigslist or the land sites like land.com, landwatch.com is my favorite. You know, this is one place to find like land sellers that are selling for sale by owner, as well as private sellers, and then sometimes they even offer seller financing. But I also talked about just now, like, you know, driving for land. Maybe you want to get out in your car and drive for land. Me and my family, once a year, we take our camper and my 3 kids and my big dog, and we go across country and camp all over the United States, and I'm always driving for land. I'm always looking at land I'm fascinated in buying. So that's another way to buy land, you know, from a private seller. Maybe it's not even for sale. How in the world do you even figure out how to buy that land? You know, there's a super trick, you know, I call it a pro tip, my ninja trick on how to figure out like who owns this land and how to buy land that's not even for sale from private sellers. You know, it's called landglide.com, or Landglide is the app. You can get this at the Google Play Store, or, you know, if you're using Apple, go to the App Store and download this app before you get on the road. And you can actually drive down the road, and when you see a parcel of land that you're interested or that you think might be for sale, you can literally walk on this land, and Landglide will show you the dimensions of this land, who the owner of it is, and also sometimes even the mailing address. Let's say maybe you're interested in a county, a specific county or a city or an area, and you want to mail the whole entire county or figure out like what is the land available that's for sale in that area. I use letters for this, my land offer letter or a postcard. This works really, really well on finding land for sale from private owners, you know, not going to like the real estate office or the MLS or Zillow, places like that. And then Zillow is another, you know, valuable resource to find private land sellers, because a lot of times they'll put it on Zillow. But let's get back to the letters. Let's get back to the postcards. These work very, very well. It gets your letter or your postcard in front of someone that says, hey, my name is Brent and I'd like to buy your land at 123 Main Street, or maybe it doesn't even have an address because there's just no address. Maybe it's just a street name or an APN, assessor's parcel number. You know, throw that on there. I'd like to buy your land in, say, El Paso County, Colorado, or wherever it's at, located on Main Street or Satchawatch Street, whatever the actual street name is. And you put your number on there and say, hey, if you'd be interested in doing a deal or receiving a fair cash offer, call me. All right, that was step 1. That's finding the land, finding the area that you're interested, your playground, your county, whatever you want to call it, and then actually going out there and talking to landowners, and hopefully you can find a seller that wants to sell you their land. Let's talk about step number 2, and that's communication. With any good relationship, you need good communication. Think about it as like a marriage. You know, you're kind of doing a very small marriage with the seller. You want to communicate. You want to make sure they feel seen, heard, and understood. You know, make sure when you're listening to them, you're actually listening and not thinking about what you want to say next. You want to get all their challenges, all their problems, and figure out a way to solve that. Because if you can add enough value, they will give value to you as well. And a lot of times it's on the purchase price. You know, if you could solve their problems, you know, this is a way for you to get a bigger discount on land. So it's all about communication. Communicate, communicate, communicate. So that leads me into point number 3, is like, what do you want to offer for this land, or what is it even worth, and what does the seller want for this land? At the end of the day, I want to know what the seller would take if I could pay all cash, close quickly, I'll solve all the problems you just mentioned. This will be the easiest transaction you've ever done. You know, what is the least you could take, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And then I need to know what that land's worth. Like, what is it worth? Like, how do I figure out what the land's worth? You know, I talked about LandWatch, I talked about Zillow. Some cool places you can go and actually compare apples to apples is Zillow. You know, what are we looking at? Like, what county is it in? You want to go to Zillow and actually research that county. Say, for instance, you're looking at a 5-acre parcel of land. Well, you want to go to the solds first, and then you want to pull up like lots and land only. You want to deselect everything else. You want to deselect the houses. You want to get rid of the mobile homes. You only want to see lots and land. And then you want to click on more and then scroll down, and you want to see what's sold in the last 6 months, because that's really what's the most relevant. How many 5-acre parcels have sold in the last 6 months? And you see that they're on average going for, say, $50,000 for a 5-acre parcel. Well, that tells me that a 5-acre parcel is going for about $10,000 per acre. So if you got $10,000 per acre times 5, that's $50,000 for that parcel of land. And that tells me right there that land is selling in the last 6 months for $50,000 for a 5-acre parcel. That's what it's worth. So if your seller says, hey, I'd sell it to you for $35,000, and you see land's going for $50,000, that tells me you're getting a great deal right there. Or maybe the seller wants $75,000 and you notice they're only going for $50,000. That tells me right there the seller is trying to get more money, or he doesn't know what it's worth, or he does know and he's trying to, see you as a chump and get you to pay more. So that's when you kind of give him your anchor. You want to be, well, my warm and fuzzy is probably somewhere around $35,000, because you don't want to pay $75,000 for something that's only worth $50,000. So your warm and fuzzy, no one can ever argue with your warm and fuzzy, and this is your anchor. And what does an anchor do? It pulls down that seller's kite. You want to pull down that seller's price because your seller wants 75, you only want to give 35 or whatever it is. You want to kind of get him a little bit more realistic. All right, so you've decided with Mr. or Mrs. Seller, you're going to pay this amount. And next, let's talk about research. Let's talk about due diligence. Like, what do you need to know about this land? Is it buildable? Like, what are you trying to do with this land? I get people that ask me all the time, like, what are the restrictions? I don't know. What are you trying to do on this land? And I'll tell you, like, are you able to park an RV on it? Are you able to build a cabin on it? Can you drill a well? Or is there already water running to this property? There's so many things you want to know, and that's where you come into your due diligence and your inspection. And that's where the first free gift I'm going to give you here, and that is my due diligence checklist. That's a 14-item checklist. I show you all the things that my team looks at before we purchase a piece of land. And the link is in the description below, and that's thelandsharks.com/DD, as in due diligence. That's my first free gift to you. Those 14 items are things that have caught me up in the beginning, like, is the land buildable? Is it big enough for a septic system? Is it a crater in the ground? Am I buying a junkyard? Like, you got to look at like Google Earth to make sure like you're not buying a junkyard. All these things have caught me up at one time or another. So if I can help you with my mistakes and save you from going down the path I went down and like get you there a little faster, I'd love to do that. All right, you've done your research. You now know what the seller's looking to get out of this land. You know what it's worth. You know what you want to pay for it. Now it's time to get all these facts on paper, the purchase agreement. I love to call it the purchase agreement. I try and stay away from calling it contract too much because at the end of the day, we're entering into an agreement for me to purchase your land from you, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. So what needs to go in this purchase agreement? One is price. 2 is timeline. When you plan on closing on this parcel of land, you could do anywhere from 30 to 45 to 60 days. And there's really no set rule. It's an agreement between you as the buyer with your seller. And then next is like, what's your inspection period look like? I talked about due diligence. You've already done a little bit, but you also want to give the title company time to run their due diligence, their inspection, make sure the title's clean. I generally like to put at least 15 days on this inspection period. So we talked about price, we talked about inspection, we talked about timeline, when you're going to close on it. And number 4, let's talk about the earnest money deposit. I find that this is not important to 9 out of 10 of my sellers, but that one seller it is important to. You need to make sure that you're getting the right amount of earnest money deposit. And then once again, there is no science to this. This is totally an art. Like, it's really dependent on how important your seller feels it is. So I generally will throw a $10 earnest money deposit. Earnest money deposit goes to the title company or the escrow company or the closing attorney, whatever state you're doing this in, whether you're using a closing attorney or an actual title company. But this goes to the title company. It doesn't go to the seller. I never like to give an earnest money deposit to a seller. And beware of those sellers that are looking for a non-refundable deposit. Non-refundable deposits, flash warning red signs in my mind because it tells me, what is this seller hiding? Why do they want a non-refundable deposit for me? If the property's good, I'll buy it. Like, if it's not, I'm not buying it type thing, and I'm not giving you a non-refundable deposit. All right, so you might be wondering, where in the world do I get this purchase agreement? This is my second free gift to you. If you go below in the description, it's the landsharks.com/contract. The landsharks.com/contracts. You can find it below in the description. I'm gonna give you my 2-page purchase agreement that I use, but I really want you to run this by your real estate attorney, run it by an attorney, Legal Shield, whatever you have, just to make sure that what I've got in this purchase agreement is able to do in your state. Like, you're not like getting in trouble. I don't want you to use an agreement that wouldn't work for you. So definitely run this by an attorney. All right, so you got the purchase agreement all signed by you as the buyer and the seller. You've agreed on the timeline, the price. Let's get this thing over to the title company or the closing agent so they can open up title and start their title search and their due diligence check. You want to make sure there's no liens or encumbrances on the property. You want to have a free, clean title of a property you can enjoy forever with no disturbances. So get that over to the title company so they can start doing their work. And finally, step number 7. But before I do, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I'm giving you so much free value here. I'm gonna keep coming out with these videos for you, and I want you to be notified when I come out with more. And if you wanna go that extra mile, go ahead and hit the like button too. So go ahead and hit the subscribe and like button. All right, and finally is the celebration when you fund this deal and close it. Fund is just another word for getting your money to the title company, whether it be a wire or a money order or a cashier's check, certified check. I like to talk to the title company and say, which do you prefer? Because some only will take wires. Some will actually have a 4-day wait time now for certified cashier's check, which is crazy. This could delay your closing. So you want to be communicating with your title agent, your escrow agent. These people are pure gold. They make sure this deal happens, and they don't get paid. They don't get paid unless this thing closes. So they have an interest to help you get this deal done. All right, so just to recap on those 2 free gifts, the first one was your due diligence checklist. That is below in the description. It's the landsharks.com/DD. These are 14 items that you definitely want to check before you buy a piece of land. And the second one is that purchase agreement that you want to fill out between you as the buyer and your seller. You get this thing under contract. It's simple. It can be really simple. Keep this super simple. And that's the landsharks.com. And sharks is plural, by the way. The landsharks.com/contract. See it below in the description. So just so you know what happens when you click on this link, it's going to ask you for your email address. I'm going to take your email address. I promise I won't spam you. I'm going to give you good content. And basically, you're going to get an email with this purchase agreement as well as the due diligence checklist, whichever one you prefer. You can do them both if you like. Hope you enjoyed the video.